In this video, I want to spend some time talking about proposals. I wanted to start off with an overview of proposals in general and covering some of the ground rules. Let me just set this camera down here because I think it's really worthwhile to spend some time talking about the right approach to proposals, how to make them work for you in the best possible way, some things to think about as you're writing your proposals and making your proposals your own, making them unique, so on and so forth. So the idea with proposals, and if, this is obviously assuming you have a prospect, you have a warm lead, you have somebody you're on the phone with. This is not, I'm not trying to cover the art and science of getting leads and getting prospects. That's something which we'll talk about, we'll cover, we'll certainly discuss that. It's a whole different can of worms. But assuming you have somebody who's interested in your services, or you're pitching your services to somebody, even if they may not be actively interested in your services yet. So the idea is you want to send them a proposal. And there's a few different ways to do that, and we'll talk about that. But first, I want to really focus on this point of when to send a proposal. And I think a lot of people get this wrong. I started off in our business, we would get on the phone with a prospect, we'd have multiple phone calls, we would really try to figure out all the details, we would ballpark pricing estimates, and only once we knew the lead was ready to sign on with us, and this was a company that wanted to work with us, they were going to become a client, that's when I would say, okay, we're going to actually send you a formal official proposal. And that was the wrong way of doing it, and we changed we changed around that structure probably 3 years ago now. And we send out proposals immediately. And when I say immediately, it's as frequently as possible after that first phone call with a prospect. So you need to obviously know the business, you need to know their overall budget, you need to know what channels you're going to be marketing on for them. If it's going to be, is it influencer marketing? Is it just PPC? Are you combining some sort of SEO or copywriting or landing page design, whatever it may be? And you probably try to get some of that in, as much of that as possible within that first phone call. And then what I say is, you know what? I know that we're still early on in this process, and I'm sure there's lots of different questions, but would it be okay if I just sent you a proposal? And I'm sure that proposal might be worked through over time. We'll change some things, we might have to add some services, but just to get things started, to give you a sense of how we work, what our timeline looks like, what our process looks like, would that be okay if I shoot you over a proposal by email? I'll have it out to you by the end of the day today. And never once has a prospect told me, no, don't send me a proposal yet. And the reason why you send out that proposal is because psychologically, you guys have, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this concept, when you're selling, you want to conduct yourself as if you've gotten a sale, right? So this is called assuming the sale. And it's not a pushy maneuver. It's not it's not necessarily a psychological tactic. It's just conducting yourself with the seriousness that would be appropriate if you actually were going to work with a client. And clients like to see that. Second of all, you have an opportunity to put your best foot forward, which is really what the proposal is all about. You're going to hopefully have a very professional, thorough proposal ready to go. And over time, you'll build out these different blocks that will be, it's sort of modular. Like, think of your proposal as a modular system. You'll send out a proposal that includes these things in one case, but you have a bunch of other things ready in the template library or your notepad that you could copy and paste into. And you could put together very professional, thorough proposals that are customizable very quickly for your clients. And I'm going to talk to you about the tool that we use in a minute, and some other options for sending proposals. But you want to send that out immediately because you're showing your client that you're serious, but you're giving the client to really see the best that you have to offer. And if you do it right, it's a very powerful tool to actually move that process forward. So once we started sending out proposals before we knew the client wanted to work with us, we saw a serious increase in the rate at which we were closing leads. And that was a very positive thing for us. When you're writing your proposal, and I'm going to show you outright some of the proposals that we've sent and some of the language that we use. Feel free to use it for yourself. But when we send proposals, there's a couple things that I keep in mind when putting together the content of the proposal. And that is, I think about, what am I really trying to communicate to my client when I send them this proposal? Like, there's the superficial goals, which is like, it's a legal document, there's going to be a signature, you need to know the scope of services. Sure, there's all like the superficial layer, but beneath it, you want to convey first and foremost, trust, okay? This is the number one factor that clients or prospects need to get over before they sign on with you. That's the number one, emotional construct holding prospects back from signing on with a new agency, right? It's trust. I don't know who you are. And this is the prospect thinking. I don't know who you are. I don't know who's going to be working on my account. People take their own money very seriously. It's not something they make decisions lightly about. This is true for individuals. This is true for freelancers. It's true for companies. People take their money very seriously. And when you're going to manage advertising budget, or you're going to do a landing page design for them and they're going to pay you, it's a serious decision. And they don't trust you yet because they don't know who you are. They might have heard good things about you, and they might have seen a case study, or they might have read reviews. And those are all very, very important things to have available to your company. But fundamentally, you as the agency, or you as the freelancer, you have to be the one that engenders that trust, that communicates that sense of trust. So everything you write in your proposal should be focused around conveying trust. And the way you do that is by communicating expertise, right? And that's like knowledge, your skills, your professionalism. So this is really more talking about like the production quality of your website. The production quality of your proposal, right? It should be thorough, it should be written well, it should have high production value. It should, when a client sees it, when a prospect sees it, they should think, wow, this is like professionally put together. And these two things, expertise, professionalism, and experience would be a good one, right? If you could communicate experience, and that sort of gets communicated through communicating expertise and professionalism. But if you could communicate these three things, you get trust. And if there's trust, the decision for the client is very easy. They'll move forward with you. Lastly, high-level stuff talking about in proposals. The balance between appreciation and authority. All right? So we tend to think of these things as binary. I'm either saying thank you, and you say thank you to somebody superior in some superior way. Like when somebody does something for you, you're saying thank you. It's sort of you're communicating some sort of indebtedness. It's like I'm recognizing that you've done something for me. And I sort of, from a reciprocal perspective, owe you something in return. Saying thank you and engaging in an appreciative relationship is a hierarchical concept. And it's a good thing, right? You know, it's good to show appreciation when someone does something for you. But you don't tend to think of authority figures as ones who assume roles of expressing appreciation, right? Authority figures, implicit in their authority, is you should do for me, or you should trust me, and I sort of give the orders around here. But in writing a proposal, you want to be able to convey both of these things. You want to communicate your authority, because fundamentally prospects want you to lead, right? They want you to tell them what to do with their money. They're not only paying you to manage keyword lists and ad group structures and A/B testing ads. They want your expertise. They want your authority. And if you can communicate that you are an authority, clients will pay a premium for that. You could charge more when you're able to communicate that you're a leader. That when a client comes to you and says, you know, I think we should spend this amount of money on remarketing, and you come back, well, no, actually we shouldn't, because the data indicates that whether or not we're spending money on remarketing, we're getting the same conversion rate and the same revenue. So the remarketing money is just additional money spent on clicks that isn't actually increasing revenue. And we should spend that money here and not where you suggested. And you come across it with an intelligent authority, like not only am I going to be proactive, but I have reasons, and I can explain why these suggestions are the ones that I'm making. You become a very, very powerful agency, and you have You start developing better relationships with your clients. So you want to communicate through your proposal that you're an expert. You will be able to take the reins. You will be able to direct this orchestra, and every dollar spent on every channel are all individual musicians of an orchestra, and you could be the director, and you could create a symphony. That's the authority element, but you also want to show appreciation. You want to express to the client that you're thankful, that you recognize that there are other talented agencies out there, and you did not have to bring us your business, and we take that seriously, and we take your money seriously, that you're giving us a chance to partner with you on this digital marketing initiative is something that we don't take lightly. It's a big responsibility, and we thank you for that. And you want to convey that as well, because if you could communicate that you're someone that recognizes opportunity and you're appreciative, it shows that you have a strong character, right? And if you could do both of these in a proposal, and you certainly can, it's not hard, you just have to think about these concepts, you'll be well on your way to writing very good proposals. So I think this is the basic introduction from a psychological high-level perspective. Send those proposals right away. Get them out if you can after the first phone call. And by the way, even if you don't know for sure, like I had this last week where we were dealing with a prospect that we might be doing like Facebook and Instagram advertising, influencer marketing for. Certainly we were going to do Google Ads. I said, I'm going to send you a proposal anyway, just for assuming that we were just managing Google Ads. And you'll take a look, you'll see, and I did. And it ends up being that they want to also advertise Facebook. Okay, so you go and you edit the proposal. Not a big deal. But you get the wheels turning as soon as you can, and the client already psychologically feels that they're further along in the selling process than they actually are. Because you're going through the motions of a sale. You're going through the motions of closing a deal. And that's very powerful. You don't do it in a pushy way. You do it in the way that I described. Okay, so let's talk about now the actual building blocks any good proposal should have. All right, so this is the contents of your proposal. Now there's 13 sections here. Not every proposal I have that we've sent out includes all 13 of these sections. But basically, I'll let you know which ones sometimes we don't include. So, and maybe I'll make a notation of like what you're trying to accomplish in each stage, or some of the key points here. So you have your cover page. Cover page is important. All right. So your cover page, you have an image, you have a title, you have a logo, right? So you have logo, put your company, even the client's company is good. Title, dates, names, like submitted by your team, right? That's the cover page. So this is all about communicating what I call PV, production value. Production value is important because if it looks nice and it feels professional, it feels well thought out, clients will just implicitly understand that a lot of work and thought went into that. Okay? So the next section of your proposal is going to be a welcome overview, right? This is more like a letter, right? And it starts off, dear your client, right? So dear Nancy, thank you very much for your call today, etc. We have a templated version of this opening cover letter, and I change it a little bit. It takes me 30 seconds every time I send out a proposal. And that's where it's a welcome overview. Then you have about us. Don't worry if this is on your website, right? It's these proposals, if your client wants to skip through something, they probably will skip through most of it. Most clients will probably skim a little bit and they'll jump to your fees section. Okay, but it's still worth it to have, because just it being there communicates a lot of thought went into it, right? So you have your About Us section. Your About Us talks about your core values. So when we talk about our core values, we talk about creativity, we talk about intelligence, we talk about respect, right? We talk about respect for our clients, money, we talk about the intelligence of our team, our creative energy, we talk about our commitment to increasing performance, we talk about our level of experience, and we have little paragraphs for each of those. That's the About Us page, 2 pages or 3 pages sometimes. Okay, then you have a scope of services. This is where you're going to really just outline what you're going to do, and then this stage, in this section, it's very important to focus on expectations. Clients will look at this, and if you get this wrong, clients will come back to this a month, 2 months, 6 months, even a year plus into the relationship and say, hey, your proposal said this and you're not doing that. So you need to get this right. A lot of companies make the mistake, and this was a mistake that we made early on, to in great detail outline every element of account management strategy. So we would say, if it was Facebook, we would say we're going to create 4 new campaigns a month, or if it was AdWords, we're going to be writing 12 text ads a week. And we're going to add, at least 30 negative keywords a month. And this was early in the days when I didn't have as good of an understanding of signing businesses. And by the way, over the last number of years, 5 years, I've sent out over 500 proposals. So I've done my time testing and analyzing and figuring this stuff out as I went along. And this is not stuff that came naturally or easy to me per se, but it's stuff that just spending a lot of time doing, you tend to get better at it. So this is very important, managing your expectations right in the scope of services. So what I've developed is a way to describe in detail what they're getting without describing it in detail. So we'll have a section for Google Ads management, another section for Bing Ads management, and we'll talk about it in a high level way. We'll say this includes creating new campaigns, designing remarketing image ads, structuring keyword lists, and all the things you're doing within the strategies that will most improve the performance and efficiency of your advertising budget. So I totally avoid specifics. When it comes to influencer marketing and certain services, if that's going to be included in the scope of services, sometimes you have to specifically outline, okay, we're going to be aiming to work with 4 influencers a month for this tier, this pricing tier, whatever it may be. But with all different types of advertising services, you could be vague while still communicating what you're doing. So if it comes to Facebook ads, you want to outline, are you going to be responsible for designing ads, whether they be video ads, image ads, etc. If that's not included in your proposal, you should say so. Oftentimes we'll get clients that are sort of paying us on the lower end of our base fee, and we won't build landing pages for free for those clients. So our larger clients that are paying us a lot more money in retainer fees, will be regularly designing landing pages or microsites for those clients. That's sort of embedded in our proposal. It's not an additional cost. If your client during the phone call said, yeah, we want to do 2 landing pages, and you discussed there'll be associated fee, I would put the landing pages in the scope of service, and I make a notation, additional fees apply for those landing pages. But I would describe, okay, we're going to build it on Webflow or on Unbounce or on WordPress, whatever it may be. We're going to take care of the copywriting if that's the case, and you describe it at a high level. The next section is, and these are, so far, every one of these sections are essential, okay? Time frame. This is a chart. We have a table, and it's really easy to make a table in some of these proposal softwares. And stages. So I usually say, and clients like this. And again, the idea is to be specific, but not overly specific. So we'll say something like, let me see if I can just get another pad here. No, I'll take out another piece of paper here for a second. And I'll come back to it. So we'll say something like, launch call. Okay, the launch call will be 1 to 2 days after sign up, right? So it'll look like this, the table. This will be when, and this will be what, okay? And over here we'll have some description text of what is the launch call. So we're all going to talk for the next 45, it would be a 45-minute call between our team and your team, high-level review of the business, making sure we have access to all the platforms, tracking, etc. Okay, so then it'll be like, okay, competitive research and analysis. And what does that mean? Okay, that's going to be 3 to 5 days after sign up or after launch call. Then there'll be campaign build. And your timeline might be different. And I'll tell you something about timelines in a second. So you have campaign build, you'll have maybe conversion testing, then you'll have, let's say, a Q&A, just a final run through of some new stuff you've done. And then you'll have discovery call. I made a mistake. Over here is what we call our discovery call, which is the intro call. And down here is the launch call. In our company, I can't write this low, launch call, this is usually 2 weeks after we take the first payment and the client signs on, and we give ourselves 2 weeks to do the preliminary things. think about timelines. Clients are open to any timeline you suggest, as long as it's obviously not unreasonable. But let's say it's within a week or 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get certain things done. The clients are more than willing to work within a range of your timeline as long as it makes sense, as long as they understand what you're doing and you're actually doing that work. Clients will be happy to work within your parameters. But you have to stick to it. It has to be reasonable. And in certain cases, clients will be like, okay, let's say you're managing a Google Ads account. This happens all the time. So that, well, you're not necessarily building all new campaigns. They're bleeding money, and you know that there's a negative keyword that you could just add, and the company will save $1,000 a day, right? So there's no reason to have to wait until your launch call, which is, we say, there's a call with you. We want to get the green light, make sure everything is working. You could tell your client, and this is something we tell them all the time, saying, listen, this is our standard process. If there's anything that's an emergency, or we see any immediate short-term egregious errors, we'll take care of those right away. And then we'll go back to our competitive research, really learning your business, learning your competitors, structuring new campaigns, new keyword ideas, new ad concepts. If we're building a landing page, that could have a separate timeline. And if you have a number of different services quoted in the proposal, you could have a number of different timelines. So you can have a timeline for the campaign launch for Google Ads, and you can have a timeline for a landing page. Now, some people will like to keep reporting in the scope of services section. I like to have it separate because it gives me an opportunity for graphics, for pie charts, to show all the different metrics we're going to include, how customizable our reporting is. So whether you're using Optimizer or you're exporting PDFs from Google, or you're pulling data into Excel for your clients, or you're using any of these hundreds of reporting tools, glamorize it. Make it, or if you're using, let's say, Google Data Studio, which is a great reporting tool, make it look nice. Make it look like you focus a lot on reporting. Tell the client that you could have a daily, weekly, quarterly, monthly report. Don't do what what a lot of companies do and say, okay, for this price you get weekly reports. For this price you get monthly reports. That's BS, because A, it doesn't take any time or effort to set up reports. B, there's no reason for that. If a client wants to see the daily results, okay, put it this way. Clients don't become annoying clients because they're getting daily reports. Annoying clients are just the types of clients that want to get daily reports. You understand? So don't think that if you send your client daily reports, they're going to become annoying, difficult clients. They have access to their account. They know their data. It's usually the annoying clients that start requesting too many reports. And there have been many times we've had a client that requests daily reports, complex reports, and we explain to them that it's not even worthwhile because we're not making changes based on 1 day's worth of data. And the clients usually get that, right? So if you explain things well and intelligently, never be afraid to push back if you could defend it and you're not doing it in an aggressive way. Okay, so that's reporting. I like to include a section called the tech we use. It sounds fancy, right? Especially if you have paid tech. It shows the client that you're successful. Clients want to see, or prospects want to see, that you're a company that's spending money. You're spending money on software and tools, etc. So we have logos and descriptions. So it's a mix of free and paid. So, and it's also not necessarily it doesn't have to be relevant to every specific client. We just keep this the same as all the tech we subscribe to. So it's HubSpot, Google Tag Manager, Optimizer, Chargeify, Grow, Google Ads logo is in there, the Bing Ads logo is in there, some different bidding tools we've used in the past, Webflow, landing page design tools, Google Analytics, Google Optimize, Google Data Studio, right? You get the logos, get the tech, and you show that not only do you understand all these different tools and strategies and that you're actually using them, it's very likely a portion of the proposal that you're not going to get, or it's very likely a portion of the proposal that your prospects are not going to see from other proposals, right? So anything you do that's unique is also very good just to make you stand out. The next two sections are sometimes I have, sometimes I don't. You could include your team. You could include a bio of yourself if you're a freelancer. You could include a picture and a bio of a couple of your team members if those are the ones going to be working on the account. I don't always do that. I have done it in the past. It's a good idea. Case study. Nothing wrong with adding a one-page case study in a proposal. Yes, you might say, oh, well, it's a proposal. What does a client want to see a case study for? They're going to skip it most likely, but you might have a couple boxes on the bottom of those 10% increase. It's an opportunity to show logos. It's an opportunity to show clients that you have. It's an opportunity to convey that sense of trust, that sense of experience, that sense of expertise. Every single section here comes back to that concept of, every single section comes back to conveying trust, expertise, knowledge, and professionalism. Your fees, straightforward, right? We have another video in this section that talks about how you're charging your client. Now, depending on how you're charging your client, this section will look a little bit different. So our typical starting point is the brackets. So we'll say, okay, we think you're starting off with an ad spend of up to $15K a month. This is going to be your, maybe we're going to be charging you $2,000 a month. That's the minimum fee. We explain how brackets work, that when you graduate into the next bracket, and this is what your fee is going to be, and you're not going to have a new setup fee. And then if you're going to be charging a setup fee, this is in this section is where you talk about your setup fees. And if there are additional bonus structures, I usually include that as a separate attachment. Because oftentimes when we do an ROAS bonus or target CPA bonus with a client, it's usually agreed upon in a spreadsheet. And I've given you guys a lot of those templates. So in the fees section, I'll have a separate page that's titled bonus. And in that bonus section, I'll describe the bonus. If it's target ROAS, I will describe the mathematics. I will give an example, and I'll say, here's the sheet with a link, a hyperlink to go to the actual bonus structure we have in place. Okay, and then you have your terms and conditions. Don't skip that. Even if it's just legalese and it doesn't mean much, it shows that it's a professional proposal. So have those terms and conditions. You can get them online. You can take the ones that I use. I haven't changed mine in 4 years. No one's ever asked me about them. Not once has a client asked me about changing something up in the terms and conditions. It's just basically boilerplate terms and conditions. Signatures. It's really important to get those signatures. You sign it, your prospect signs it, your client signs it. It's important for two reasons. One, it makes you look professional, right? Getting something signed electronically, it's just professional. And it's what real companies do. It gets signatures. Even if you're not doing long-term contracts. Now, the other reason is because you might have an issue like I just dealt with last week, where we had a really rotten egg client that basically came on board with the intention of paying us by credit card for a few months and then clawing those payments back with their bank, and they disputed the charges. And what I'm able to do in those cases, because if there ever is a chargeback, the bank by default will side with their customer, which is your client that's performing the chargeback, saying they didn't get a service. But in our case, since the client was clawing back 3 or 4 months of charges, I have a proposal that says not only are no refunds due at any time, no refunds are given at any point for any reason, but it also says that we work month to month. And when the client signs that, and you can show that in your dispute file, saying, hey, if they're charging back 4 months, and based on the proposal, knowing that we work month to month, why did they continue to work with us month after month after month that they're now trying to get back? And here's the proposal. And the proposal says no refunds, right? So it's not necessarily, it doesn't happen often, right? You're doing good work, and it doesn't happen often. So in most cases, you're going to be fine. This won't be a problem. You don't get chargebacks often, but when it does, you want to be able to fight it and provide your evidence. And having a signed proposal makes a big impact in winning some of these chargebacks. And then your last section, important, closing, right? Again, thank you and anticipation, enthusiasm. That's where you really show in the closing, is you just show another picture, another image. I'm really, depending if you're a freelancer or if you're a small agency, we're really looking forward to working with you. We're enthusiastically excited about this partnership. We can't wait to put our great ideas to work on your behalf, right? So it's showing that authority. We have the ideas, we have the expertise, you know your business, but we appreciate this opportunity. We're looking forward to it. We don't take this lightly. That's your closing, and that's your proposal, right? These are the building blocks of your proposal. So the team, you can move it around. The case studies don't necessarily have to have. The tech section you don't necessarily have to have. If you want to just do our clients section somewhere, like let's say before the fees, to reinforce that sense of trust, not a bad idea. But really, your cover page, the welcome overview, about us, scope of services, time frame, reporting is really dependent on how you want to put that in your proposals, but it's something that I always keep. Obviously, your fees, terms, signatures, and closing, these are all totally essential. But one of these three should definitely be in there. Because again, psychologically, what you're out to do is reinforce that sense of trust. That is the goal, is reinforcing that sense of trust. Now, as far as tools go, I want to walk you through a couple different ways you can actually get this proposal done. So let me get rid of this here first. And get rid of, bear with me, let me get rid of this page. Okay. So what about proposal tools, software? Okay, now I'm hopefully going to get a discounted link from Proposify, which is the tool that I use. I would love for it to be an affiliate link. I'm not ashamed to make a buck if you guys sign up for Proposify, and I'm certainly not an affiliate of Proposify now. I never have been, and I've used a lot of different software. So my favorite, by far, is a company called they spell it with a Z. No, do they? No, I think they spell it with an S. I know how proposals are spelled. Proposify, I believe, spells it with an S. Okay? Proposify. I'm in there like all the time, and it's hard to remember. So it's an online tool that allows you to create proposals really easily, and they actually have a bunch of these digital marketing proposals, pre-built templates that you can start with, a really nice template gallery. And the proposal templates that I'm going to share with you are from Proposify, that are built in Proposify, and it might be easier to transfer some of the stuff that I'm doing if that's something that you wish to do. But proposals, it's highly professional. So clients get, you could brand your URL. So when a client gets a link to a proposal, it goes to proposals.adventureppc.com. Right, so all of a sudden you look very professional. It's live, the documents are live. So that means a client can comment on a section, or you can comment on a section and update it. You'll get a notification. The client refreshes the page, and the whatever was edited now appears. Right? It's a live document. Dynamic variables. So when you go to make a new proposal, and maybe I'll probably do another full. I'll probably do an actual training on Proposify because it's worth it. And I think, like, I don't know. I'm paying probably $200 a month. But I think that the plan for 1 or 2 users is $50 a month. It's affordable. At $50 a month, it's really worth it. They might have a $29 a month plan. You take a look at their website. It's highly dynamic variable. So you enter in the client's name, the client's company name, your name, phone number, etc. And throughout the proposal, in your text, you could edit. You could put those dynamic variables in. So in the welcome page, when I say I can't wait to do business with variable client's company, right? Company name, and every time I make a proposal, it makes it really quick to just, throughout the whole 30-page proposal, put in the client's company name in all the right spots so I don't have to do it manually. And you can do that with all different sorts of variables. It's easy to make tables, right? Pricing tables with totals, and then you could use the total. So if I have like 5 different services that I'm charging for, it totals it up, and then later on I could reference that total. So, first month's payment of, it'll reference the total in the table, in the pricing table. It allows you to make timeline tables very easily and nicely. You'll get a notification when your client opens the proposal for the first time and the second time. There's good analytics showing how long it takes you to close a deal, how long it takes for clients to open emails, how many minutes did a client spend looking at different sections of the proposal. It's really cool software, and it's honestly built specifically for digital marketing professionals. That's Proposify. Let's see, what else do I like about it? Customized templates when you send out your proposal, prompting them to open the proposal and just giving them another thank you and what's going to be inside. Very highly customizable design. You can embed videos and images into the proposal, change the fonts, change the colors, and then when the client opens it, it's like a little mini website. So you'll see, like, on the left-hand side of the proposal, there's like your section titles. So it's your welcome, overview, about us, fees, legal, etc. And they can click and scroll down automatically to those different sections. It's mobile optimized. And then the electronic signatures are great. So that's another big factor here. It makes it very easy for electronic signatures, both for you and for your client. You could sign it electronically. You'll get a notification when your client signs the proposal electronically. You get PDF versions. You can download a PDF version. You can send your team members preview links. You can send your client custom links. It's really secure. It's a really, really great proposal system. I highly recommend you guys check it out. It does everything. It really does everything you need. It's not a perfect tool. Like, it gets a little buggy, but it's really not bad. Next is PandaDoc. By the way, I've tried a lot of proposal softwares. I don't use PandaDoc. I have used it in the past. It's a little bit more professional in terms of its templates. Like, it looks more. The PandaDoc templates end up looking more like Word documents, but it also does a lot of these things like dynamic variables and pricing tables, electronic signatures, etc. I think it's a fine way to go. I personally don't use it. Before I started using something like Proposify, I was using Google Docs in the very beginning, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But just make sure you customize it. You add your logo, you add your headers and your footers and your page numbers, and you write out your sections, and you have a nice font, and it's legible and it's clear, and you can put your tables in, and you could drag images in, etc. I once wrote a 60-page proposal in Google Docs, sent it out to a big client, and we won that deal. I just remembered, actually our largest client, we sent them a proposal in Proposify, and I remember him being so impressed. He told like somebody in his office, his assistant, he's like, we have to get this for our vendors, something like this for our vendors, which looks so professional. They were really impressed with how our proposals looked using Proposify. But anyway, Google Docs is not a bad way to go. PandaDoc is another good online software. Google Docs obviously is free. If you're much more of an analytically minded person, you could probably get away with doing a lot of these sections in Google Sheets or Excel for the proposals. But I really recommend you don't do that, because remember, production value, right? You don't have that unless you're using something professional. It's worth it to spend the $50. It really is. You'll be able to charge your clients double what they would have paid based on how professional your proposal looks. Like I'm telling you, I've seen this stuff. So your production value, right? Professionalism, expertise, knowledge, experience. All these things come out a lot more when you take the time and the energy to put together a proposal. And one more thing, by the way, about Proposify is the library feature. So you could build all these different sections. You could build your team section, you could build your client logo section, you could build your fee tables, and you could have like 10 different fee table variants depending on the service. You could have your different legal sections even. You could have different about us sections. You could have different scope of service sections. You could have a scope of service for PPC, for Facebook, for Instagram, for content, for SEO. And you could add and configure every proposal to pull in different blocks whenever you want. So you could have, you're sending out a proposal, you don't want the PPC scope of services, you just want the Facebook advertising scope of services, you pull that in, you delete the Google Ads part, or the PPC part. You want to add in a team bio, but you don't want the case study? Easy, it's fine, it's all there, it's all in that library. So I highly recommend you check out Proposify. It's honestly I've been using this for over 4 years for every single proposal, so I don't know really, I know a good amount about PandaDoc, and I know a good amount about Google Docs, but this is what I use. But whatever software you end up using, and I'm sure there are good softwares that I'm not familiar with when it comes to writing proposals, I did cycle through a lot of them before I settled on Proposify for it has the best all-around range of features for what a digital agency needs. But whatever you do, focus on those ideas of getting the proposals out quickly, and making sure in every paragraph you write, you convey professionalism, you convey expertise, you convey knowledge. And why do you want to do those things? What is the ultimate goal? Psychologically, obviously the ultimate goal is to sign the client, but what stands between you and the client? There's one thing: trust. So the better the proposal is, the more you convey knowledge, expertise, professionalism, production value, and that a lot of time went into this, the more trust that will be communicated. And the best time to do that is as soon as possible. There's never a time too soon to start conveying trust to your clients. So even after that first phone call, definitely go ahead and get that proposal out. So I'm going to create more videos about proposals, and I'll probably do a full-length tutorial on Proposify, and I'll probably also do a couple other lectures that have specific templates for you guys to download and look at and certainly use. I don't think that there's anything else that I haven't covered. You have the building blocks of a proposal, you have the psychological ideas, you have the structure. Now you just need to go and actually start building this stuff. It takes a lot of time, but spend the time. Allocate an hour or 2 hours every day for the next 2 weeks to build out a library of elements that you'll be using in your proposals. It's really worth the time to write this stuff out, because when a client gets it, they think, not that they think necessarily, but it looks as if you've written this for them, right? Not that they think that you did it purely from scratch for them, but that's the sense a person will get. And especially something when you have a tool like Proposify or PandaDoc, you have those dynamic variables. In any little footnote or any little pricing table description or headline, you could customize with the client's first name, with the company's name, with the total amount. So it really looks like there was a lot of editing at least done in a large proposal. But take the time now to really get this stuff together. It'll be very, very worth your while. Getting this stage right could double or triple your conversion rate, right? If you have some prospects, if you have some companies that you might be able to work with, getting out a very impressive proposal can really make the difference between losing a deal and closing a deal. Good luck, enjoy, get to work, and let me know how your proposals are working for you on your behalf. Cheers for now.